Welcome back, guys. It's Byron Phillips from byronphillipsmedia.com, and today we are looking at how to balance an image against a window. So this is the final image that we strived for or that we achieved, and we're just going to run through exactly how we did this. So as we can see, when we try to expose for just the skin, we can see that we are in the correct levels for that, but the window is always blown out, and you can see this with highlights in the waveform. Now this is taken from DaVinci Resolve, so this will give you an idea of what's happening to the image as we progress through each of the scenes. So the next thing that we want to do is actually expose for the window. So what we've done now is that we've exposed for the window, and as you can see, the highlights on the right have come down to where we expect. Now this was around 3 stops of ND. The lens is set at 2.2 and I think it's between 3 and 4 stops of ND, just to give you an idea of the ballpark of what I had to do to get this down. Now as you can see on the left side of the image, we've completely lost the wall and we've lost the back side of the sofa, so the image itself is not balanced. Now if you're going for a very or an extremely moody look, you could leave it at here, but that is not what we're going for. We're gonna go for a balanced image. So whilst this gonna stay moody, it's gonna at least be a bit more balanced so that there's a bit more depth on the left hand side. So for this, we are adding a backlight against the wall. Now what I wanted to do was I wanted to add a bit more depth. Now in the last image we fell completely into darkness and I didn't want that. So what we have gone and done is by adding this light against the back wall, we have raised that depth a bit so that it is more in the scene rather than me just falling into complete darkness. Now this is exposed for 2 stops under to where my face is, so I didn't want it to match the exposure or go above. I wanted this to be natural looking, so that would naturally fall because of where the location is of that wall. It is falling behind the window, so it wouldn't get as much light as we'd expect it. So that's why I've tried to get that for 2 stops under to where my face is exposed for. Right, so what we have done now is that we have added a bounce card, and this is being held over the sofa by a reflector holder and a clamp, so it's almost like a boom arm. Now this doesn't appear to be adding a great deal, but between the last image and this image, what we're seeing is that you get to see my ear much better, which is fantastic because it's a tiny little ear. Now when I did the meter reading, it was originally 4 stops under from the key side of my face. Now this was coming in at about 2.5, so just by adding that bounce card, we have added in about 1.5 to 2 stops of natural light which is coming in from the window. So this is balancing the image a little bit better. We're not completely falling into darkness on the left hand side, and we are trying to control that image as natural as we possibly can. So what we've done now is that we have done a wardrobe change, and basically I was wearing a black t-shirt before and I was falling into basically the levels of the sofa, which is what we didn't want. So rather than making any adjustments to any lighting, what you can do is just simply do a wardrobe change, and that will add a bit more depth to the image, because that is now pulling me from the sofa and then the sofa is being pulled from the wall, and we're only doing this with one light, one reflector and just some ND just to balance that image. And as you can see from the waveform, this is a nice balanced image. Now if you're going for a more of a high key look, then perhaps you would get that background to match the exposure of the light that is falling on my face, and perhaps rather than the fill side on the left side being 2 stops under, you could perhaps get that to 1 or just under half a stop so that you have a more high key look. But we are not going for that for this scene. We are just literally going for a low key look where the image is balanced and we're showing some depth. So hopefully that was beneficial and you guys liked. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.